How's it going, everyone? This is Just Lord at Just Lord Gaming. I got something I gotta watch real quick, man. This guy right here, my man Dreamcast guy. Listen to this guy all the time. I always give him a like, but he was out of line today, man, with this Switch news, with Switch 2 news, man. I gotta get in on this, man.
Hey there, gamers, Dreamcast guy here, and today I want to talk about the failure of the Nintendo Switch 2, or I guess I should say,
tell me, Dreamcast guy, how's it a failure already? It ain't even come out yet.
Gaming hardware for over a decade. You can watch old videos on my channel going back literally 10 years ago, reviewing like 3DSs and stuff like that. I mean, I have been covering lots of different eras, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo, and it's very strange that right now we are 72 hours from the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2, and I feel like you wouldn't know it. There's no big countdowns, there's no big hype, there's no big parties, there's no hyper-analyzing trailers. It just feels like a lot of people, even Nintendo fans, seem to be kind of saying, meh. Now,
okay, let me get right for first way. He said there's no big countdown, there's nothing, nobody saying nothing. Well, I live in New York, and everybody I see, I've been into New York, they're sitting outside right as we speak, waiting for this joint to drop. How is there no hype? Everywhere I see, everybody I talk to, all my friends, they waiting for the Switch to drop. Now, given that Nintendo's not releasing no consoles, you can't use their console until it's released. Why would there be any hype? Have you not ever worked? I mean, I've worked at Toys R Us in my time. I saw how Nintendo moved when they came in back in the Nintendo 64 era, right? The man went in, I would be there. Nintendo games would come in a big cage in a white and red box that said Nintendo on it. Straight stealth. You ain't even know when they would come. I mean, you go take the, and matter of fact, that was first priority. And this is around the time, I would say when the first Zelda for 64 dropped, and good thing I worked there because I was able to get the easy pre-order, so not bad at all. But I don't know what Dreamcast guy's talking about. It ain't no hype for it. Now, you sound wild, boy.
Does that come down to the fact that there's not a lot of launch games? It's just Mario Kart and Cyberpunk, basically, that look...
So it's only Mario Kart and Cyberpunk? Come on. All the games they said that was coming out, you got Donkey Kong next month, and you got other games coming down the line, you got Metroid this year. What are you talking about, Dreamcast guy? Come on, buddy.
Halfway decent isn't the fact that people are just bored of the Nintendo Switch, because it is a strange thing that right now the Nintendo Switch 1 is one of the most popular systems of all time. Over 150 million sold, billions and billions just generated in raw profit even from the hardware itself. But with the Switch 2, it doesn't have those games, it doesn't have that love. It's got $80 exclusives for Mario Kart, it's got $100 controllers, it's got a $500 console. We have truly entered a...
Okay, now you're saying it has $80 exclusives from my Mario Kart. One thing about Nintendo, everybody knows, their games are premium. I got GameCube games, you know how much they worth? I'm sure you have GameCube games too. They're the most sought after game you would get the most money for out of any system. The GameCube library will get you... I had doubles one time, and I sold my doubles. I probably got like $1,200 for like 10 games. No lie. So, value in a Nintendo game, that's value. I mean, now with the key card thing, you ain't gonna get that value more. So, all those guys who got the collectors and who got their stuff, you know that stuff is gonna go up. So, I don't know what Dreamcast guys over here complaining about $80 games. And matter of fact, let me just take it back. So you talking about $80 games, right? Okay, guys. Since Dreamcast guy don't really do no research, he just come on here just talk. Let me do some research for y'all. Here we go. This is my launch box right here. I got all my classic electronic gaming monthlies I used to read back in the day, and I still read them today. But let's go let's go to some pricing. All right, got the magnifying glass on. Let's see what the pricings are. We got Neo Geo here, $169. Look at these prices. This is what we had in my day. This is what you had to pay if you wanted to have the premium console. You wanted to have one of the best consoles out there that lasted past 3DO, Sega CD, 32X, all the other systems. The Neo Geo stood the test of time. That lasted through all my childhood, all the way into the early 2000s. Neo Geo was still going strong. Look what they were paying for their games. You really telling me $80 is killing me? Nah, you're bugging, boy. Look at this. Where we at? Move on. Let's go over here. Where we at? Genesis. Games was $49, $56. All variations of prices for the games, just like today. So what are you really complaining about the games? That's what I want to know. Here we go. Systems. The Neo Geo Gold just costs just as much as a Switch. $579. There you go. It was one dude on my block with a Neo Geo, and that was the only dude that had that. The rest of us, we just played in the arcades, and I had all my systems. I mean, my mom wasn't buying no Neo Geo. That's one thing. She done this. She had a TurboGrafx, Genesis, Super Nintendo, all other joints, but she just wasn't paying for that. I mean, that's just it. And just look at these prices. You mean to tell me you talking about pricing? Look at the prices here, bro. What are you talking about? All these prices be 40s, 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Look at Fantasy Star 2 and 3. $60, bro. What are you talking about? Huh? You making these videos for what? That's what I'm trying to understand. You said you wasn't buying the what's it called? You wasn't buying the Switch 2. You should have left it at that. You ain't copping. Everybody would have been cool with it. Like, all right, cool. You ain't buying it. We ain't got nothing to complain about. But let's see. Let's continue your rant and see what you got to say.
A different era of Nintendo, and it does feel like people are saying, I'm not sure I want to invest into this new vibe of Nintendo, which seems to be pay before you even enjoy the play. Let me explain what I'm talking about, and I want to take a look at a bunch of hot takes, because it feels like even Nintendo people are kind of saying, is this going to work?
Is this going to work?
Let me talk. Hi, hope you're having a great day, and if you could, please give this video a like and subscribe.
I did that already.
I have to admit that
let me do that now. My bad.
This video is that
there's your life. So let you know I'm not a hater. I'm just responding to what you're saying, to how awful you are.
Isn't that much
I watch you all the time. No disrespect. Oh, you going too far now.
I even saw stuff like this. Did you know gaming is kind of a trivia channel? They've gone back years and years and years, and I found it fascinating that yesterday they put up a video that for the first time ever in the channel's history is hypercritical of Nintendo, which is the fact that Nintendo is now going for extra expensive products, trying to basically see how expensive they can make stuff and people will still buy it, and that's very antithetical to classic Nintendo. People forget the fact that, like, they've always tried to make stuff as cheap as possible. $200 even at launch consoles at times, or $99 Game Boy Advances. Like, you guys truly cannot imagine how accessible to a broke kid growing up, how Nintendo was a lot of ways the place to play, because it was where you got good games, good exclusives, cool RPGs like Pokemon and stuff, and before all that, it was affordable. They're giving up affordability, and I feel like the higher price does not match the power output. Now, I do think part of it just does.
Okay, Green Card Scott. Okay, back then, as you told me, when it was affordable, right? Back in those days. All right, that's before cell phones. That's before all the technology we have now. As we know, prices are going to go up regardless. Again, y'all equate numbers to gamers, and that's not true. Numbers are not true. The numbers of the console sold are not gamers. You should have known this from the PlayStation 2 era, because even though the number was high, I know when I grew up in my neighborhood, everybody didn't have a PlayStation 2 for gaming. Why? How do I know? Because when I first bought my PlayStation 2, what did I use it for? I didn't use it to play games, because it was nothing that was out for the PlayStation 2 that I wanted. Only game that I ever wanted for PlayStation 2 was Metal Gear Solid 2, and it wasn't out yet, right? So what did most people do when they got their PlayStation? When I first got my PlayStation, Blockbuster Video, DVDs became the new thing to do. Most people a lot of people who had a PlayStation 2 watched DVDs on it. It became an entertainment system, right? Because more people bought it for the DVD player. The gamers bought it to play games. But that always does not equate to the number that y'all told. Oh, y'all say 60 million. You've never seen, besides Grand Theft Auto, you've never seen games sell what the console sold, right? Because half of that or 60% of that is probably people who don't play games like that. You know what I mean? So you can't equate those numbers. Yeah, you could equate the numbers for console sales, but you can't. Software sales is totally different. And we already know Nintendo gets software sales. That's not a lie. That is a fact. I mean, but y'all guys was talking about pricing of the console and stuff like that. $500 is good because last time I checked, Switch OLED is what was this? The Steam Deck OLED is $650. Would you want the 512? What's this? $729? All different prices. If you want a big, what's this? A G? So what is your plan? And doesn't the Switch have newer components than the Steam Deck? So what is your real gripe here? You got this. What else you got? The Rogue, which costs what, $900? That's a G. That's basically a G right there. Come on, bro. Come on. Look at this. That's $599 right there. So how are you complaining about a console made by Nintendo that we know we're gonna get craftsmanship for, and you complaining about it being costing too much? Make it make sense. And I didn't see you going like this over Steam Deck and all them things. You wasn't acting like this, bro. So this is what I see. You farming. You out here farming, baby. You gotta stop. Know what I mean? Because if you ain't gonna get the Switch, don't get it. There ain't no need to continue to talk about it, bro. You told everybody on here, I ain't getting the Switch. So you should have just left it at that. Why you still making videos about it, bro? You be farming. So now we go from there. And like I said, I don't got nothing against your Dreamcast guy. I mean, I like your show. I do come and watch, but this is my first time. I gotta give it a take because you're making these cornball takes.
Come down to the fact that a lot of the advertising for it, like today they just announced this like 30 minutes ago. Hey, here's a 60 FPS patch for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Oh yeah, those games that launched totally broken. Well, they still look very, very empty, but look, now it's less broken. Can you really say that this is exciting? Can you really say, yeah man, that's totally worth $500 to play that game from years ago, but it's less busted? This to me is just, it's not only not exciting, it almost shows how little they have to show off. In fact, a lot of the replies are about, hey look man, you gotta buy that game, here's that FPS and less bugs. Everybody basically is in the reply like, okay, so they're fixing a broken game that shouldn't have been broken in the first place. Everybody is like, man.
Okay, now the problem I have with this. Okay, so now for before the Switch was announced, for all the times I've heard people say, oh, it runs bad. Oh, if it just ran a little bit better. Oh, if it could have just been better. So now you're getting that, and you're complaining. You guys are complaining that, oh, that's not enough. It's not enough for me. It's not enough that I can't have more games and with more features. This is just not enough for you guys. So like, what do you guys want?
I just don't care about this. I'm not buying a Switch 2 to play last gen Pokemon at a more stable frame rate. That's just not exciting. Now, part of my motivation for this video was that I was critical of the original Nintendo Switch at launch. And a lot of it just came down to the fact that after the complete dumpster fire of the Wii U, I was a bit afraid that the Nintendo Switch really was underpowered. It just didn't seem to make sense.
And how was the Wii U a dumpster fire? You need to elaborate on that to me. I mean, personally, the Wii U was a great console. I mean, I have it. I mean, this sitting right here. Hold up, you wait right there, buddy. I have my bad boy right here. Great console. I mean, they were trying some different things. Nothing wrong with that. Still, one of the best part, that Captain Toad, that little mine cart controlling the screen and flipping and looking back and forth, that's dope. I mean, it just, how they implemented it, again, you calling it the Wii U makes someone think, and I've seen this with my own eyes. I seen when the Wii U was out, I was in GameStop one day and I saw somebody coming in, was like, hey, what's that console? Let me get the Wii. But they were really asking for the Wii U. But the GameStop guy, not being smart enough to catch what they trying to do, that they trying to figure out what is the Wii U, to buy the Wii U, he gives them a Wii and let them roll off like that. I told him, like, yo, they was asking for a Wii U actually, though. He was like, oh, you think so? And I'm like, yeah. And I said, he gonna give that back? They're gonna be like, nah, that's not what I want. But again, it was all in the name. That was a bad name. Wii U, that sound like an accessory. I made it more than a console. Only people who was like really following it knew what the console was. Not somebody just walking in off the street. They didn't know what it was. I mean, so I can't really say, like, to me, the Wii U had great games. I mean, you saw that. That's why they sold even more on the Switch, because they were all good games. It was just on a bad, I can't say a bad system, it's just on a bad name for a system. I said that when they named it, like Wii U. Now that sound what? That don't sound like somebody gonna cop. And I knew it. I mean, but that's the way the cookie crumbled. They ain't put them out the game though. Now look at them. They came back. Now they got the best handheld out here. So you put it at that. Let's see what else you gotta say, Dreamcast guy.
To me as a product, but as it existed, as it got more games, as it got more ports, as it got stuff like classic Final Fantasies and all sorts of really cool stuff, I was really impressed by the passion that grew for the original Nintendo Switch. Like, when I see fan art like this to me...
Cut! And that's a wrap. Now the work of getting your video to multiple channels and devices starts. And
this is Nintendo. It's not just the games, it's this passion. This is something that feels very unique to Nintendo fans that I've always very much admired. I mean, look at this. The fact that it's got Xenoblade, you can see Mario right here, you got Samus, oh my god, Breath of the Wild, you can see some Pokemon in here. This art is not just fantastic, it's absolutely super impressive. It evokes a sense of nostalgia and love for the current hits. This is going to be the kind of stuff that people are going to look back on as the good old days. But when I think of the Nintendo Switch 2, I just feel like I don't feel that same zest. It does feel like, hey, what if we took this, but instead scaled down the fun, scaled down the prices, scaled down everything. Like, scaled down everything except the prices, because they're definitely trying to make it as expensive as possible. I do.
So let me ask you something, Dreamcast guy. Why would they make the price lower? Like, just make that make sense, buddy. Make that make sense. It's a brand new console. It has what, DLSS, whatever it's in there. It got new features inside the console. Why would they make the console lower? The OLED costs $350. Why would they're gonna go below $350, buddy? Just make it make sense, man. You complaining about the price. Why? You bought a $700 PlayStation 5, did you not? Or whatever, your girl bought you the PS5 or PS5 Pro? I don't understand. Like, what is your problem with the price? I never heard you ask Steam to lower their price, Rogue to lower their price, but you want Nintendo to lower their price. Why? When their stuff has the most value out of any system out here. Why? That's all I want to know.
I do think that some of the negative hype has just been about how pricey it is, and the fact that there have just been so many bad headlines. Nintendo has admitted the fact that they can break your Switch 2 if you do anything at all suspicious. If you try to game share and appear offline, they can just remote deactivate permanently your Nintendo Switch 2. They can just brick it, your Nintendo Switch 2.
Okay, so you sound like you want to do something illegal, right? Because if you ain't doing nothing illegal, then why are you worried about it being bricked, right? They ain't gonna just brick you to brick you. You know what I mean? What you want to do something illegal for? If they told you you can't do it, obviously you want to defy the order, so you get a brick console. What's up with you?
It requires constant online updates, stuff like that, not a big thing. Also, the fact that they keep canceling pre-orders, so even the few people that are trying to buy it, yeah, good luck. There's a good chance you're not going to get it. I'm in a spot now where...
How are you going to say it's a good chance you ain't going to get it? Well, I'll be getting mine on Thursday, Jack.
I think that Nintendo Switch has tried too hard to be a company, and it's ended up blowing up in their faces. I think that the best eras of PlayStation, like the PS4 era, the PlayStation 3 era, and the best era of Nintendo, is when it came out and just felt like dudes. It did feel like...
So you said the PlayStation era. So you telling me another console, because I was there for the PlayStation era. I was there for the PlayStation 3 when launch. They launched at $600. I said, nah, I ain't paying the $600. I mean, you ain't got no games to warrant $600. So where did I go? I went to Xbox. Oh, $299? Yeah, let me get that. Pass that on here. And I was enjoying my Xbox 360. You know, it took me a while, though. I'll say it took a while to get a Wii, but I got it eventually. And I did what? When did I get a PS3? I bought PlayStation 3 when they had the Slim, and I still got my Slim now. When they went to the Slim version, and I think they was giving on Uncharted with it. That's the first PS3 I bought. Because it was down. I think it was down to $299 right then. It went to the price that was affordable. Sometimes you ain't gonna buy every system just because, you know what I mean? Like Sony was out of their mind right there. I put my foot down and said, nah, I ain't paying for it.
When they came out, we saw someone wearing a Crash Bandicoot shirt doing the Crash is back. Whenever they would talk about the PlayStation Vita, whenever PlayStation would come out and talk about a deal with Hideo Kojima to make Death Stranding, it felt like your bros making cool art. When Nintendo came out and talked about the new Donkey Kong, and Nintendo came out and talked about these big ambitious projects, stuff like Mario Odyssey, which immediately was mind-blowing. It felt like they understood the magic of games. And now that the magic has faded and these are just corporations, it does feel like the silence of PlayStation is deafening. It's boring. It ends up hurting them because there's just nothing to be hyped about. And it seems like Nintendo has followed...
So wait a minute, you telling me a company like Nintendo, who's been making consistent games this whole Switch era, and they probably beat out Microsoft and PlayStation for the most first parties put out, right? I mean, I would have to check, but I would assume that Nintendo consistently every year puts games out. So what are you talking about?
That trend, of all things, they followed that trend. I found this random tweet here, and I decided to verify it. It is real. For the United States, for the past 90 days, people are Googling PlayStation 5 like 10 times more than they're Googling the Nintendo Switch 2.
And this is your basis? A scale of how many people? You looking at this is your information. Dreamcast guy. How many people's on that scale? 10? 20? 30? 40? But you using that as your scale. Come on, Dreamcast guy. You selling wolf tickets, buddy. Come on.
This is kind of insane. And you can see the window here. This is going from March 1st to July. So this is current data, to June. This is current data. We're coming up on the launch, and we have a bump this tiny, but it's still twice as low as just random averages of the PS5. That does to me, I think this tweet is correct, it does evoke the fact that there's just no interest in the Switch 2. Maybe that's just the fact that it's not anywhere to see. It doesn't really soak into that casual gamer ethos. Like, 5 days from launch, this is a tweet by Woodhawker. He's one of the biggest, in my opinion, one of the best Nintendo Switch YouTubers. Obviously I'm biased, he's a buddy of mine, love you Wood. But he points out the fact that at his local GameStop, there is literally no marketing for the Nintendo Switch 2. I also saw this video where someone showed this is a Target, literally filmed today, and they showed the fact that literally, where's the Nintendo Switch 2 signage? Where's the Nintendo Switch 2 printers? Where's the Nintendo Switch 2 games? Where's the Nintendo Switch 2 controllers? It seems like nobody cares at all for the Nintendo Switch 2. Not even these...
Oh, let me ask you something. Did they not just say they not sending nothing out? To nobody? Because the games is in the store. I seen it. I seen it with my own eye. The Switch 2 is in the store. I saw it in the cage. So, what are you talking about? Why would they have the stuff out? Target, these guys are going away from selling physical games. Every time I go to Target, it's getting lighter and lighter on the game. So what you mean? Maybe you going to the wrong places then, buddy, because you going to a chain store where chain stores are now taking games out of their stores. So what do you mean?
Is retailers. There was this article that came out last night that I kind of want to talk about. Nintendo ended up releasing a statement saying this is false, but I do still find it interesting. Mokuzuki has posted a bunch of different articles across the last couple years about essentially the business of Nintendo, what they're doing, why they're doing it. And he said that Nintendo is jacking up the price of the Nintendo Switch so they can make more upfront cash. They want you to pay as much as you could possibly get squeezed out of you so they make more profit. And they want to pass this on to the retailers. Retailers typically earn about 3% of the money for each console sold. They're trying to bump that up to 5%. Now, Nintendo has claimed this is a lie, but to me, this almost evokes the fact that I do think that Nintendo is afraid of the Switch 2 not selling at all. The Nintendo Switch sitting on store shelves. They want these people to push it. They want the retailers to advertise it, to give it good store space, to put it at the front, to make sure it's advertised. And I almost see this as a very, very bad sign. I think the Nintendo Switch 2 is oddly going to sit in the shadow of the Nintendo Switch 1 for at least a year or two.
You're tripping, buddy. It's going to shit in the shadow of the Switch 1? How? Explain that. If I buy a Switch 2, I can play Switch 1 games. How am I sitting in the shadow when there's a better version of the Switch that I can have that's going to do everything that that Switch can do and better? So I'm going to be relying on my old Switch. And again, I heard you complaining about the backwards compatibility. You don't still have a regular Switch? The games that don't work, play on your old Switch. And I doubt even them games that's on the list, you don't play none of them. I bet. You don't play none of them, but you complaining about it. Because even when I looked at the list, ain't no game on there that's going to bother me if it don't play. I got a Series X. Every 360 game don't work on there. That's cool. I got a 360 that I can go to and play as well. For the games I don't, right? I would love to play my Naruto Rise of the Ninja, but I can't play it on Series X. I can play it on my 360 though. That's how it works. Everything you're not going to get.
Minimum. Very, very, very minimum. It's weird that the Nintendo Switch has been so successful at converting people that are non-gamers into gamers and then into hardcore gamers. But I do think a lot of those people went on to buy PCs, to buy PlayStation 5s, to move on to other systems. And now, if they're looking at the power of their PlayStation 5 or playing on their Steam Deck, and you go, hey, time to buy a new $500 Nintendo Switch.
So let me ask you a question. You're talking about the power of the PS5 and whatever, the power of the Series X. Y'all always talking about power. I have many PS5 games. I have many Xbox 360, Xbox Series X games. I have not seen the true power of these systems yet. And that's the fact. What game that's out that can't be made on the PS4 that I could sit here and I could look at it and nah, they can't do that. I haven't seen one game yet. The only joint that I just saw today was that Witcher 4, and I don't know whether that's a concept tech demo or what they trying to do or whatever they using. They said it was running on the PS5, but we'll see. I mean, that was the closest thing to I say. Now it looked that looked next gen from what I was looking at, how the characters move, the animations and stuff. That looked next gen. That I'm not seeing in the console games today. If it looks like that, if it turns out to look like and play like that, I assume that might be PlayStation 6 really for that demo, but we will see.
Which has a worse battery life, which has mostly digital games, which has the most expensive games on the market, the most expensive controllers. A lot of people are just saying, no thanks, I'm good, which is not good for Nintendo.
So who's the people, Dreamcast guy? Or is it just you? There you go. You ain't gotta cop it, buddy. He's making all these sad faces. You ain't gotta copy the system. You could go about your day, man. Go play some PlayStation. Just call it a day. You can't be an all-around gamer, baby. See, I'm all around. I don't care about PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo. I love them all. I play them all. I play all their games. You see, I say you guys are messing it. You saying you from my time, Atari era? I can't see it because you should know better with the things you saying. You kind of a little skeptical for being if you saying you from the Atari era, buddy.
I'm skeptical about you. How do you feel about the Nintendo Switch 2 launch? And does this seem correct, or are you more thinking that Nintendo will be fine? This is being overly skeptical of a business plan that historically has worked out. Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming.
We'll see. Let me just get back to one thing also with these prices that you over here talking about. Alright, let's go down another list of pricing, right? Let's see what we was doing back here. Throwing this magnifying glass real quick. Alright. So let's see what we have here. PlayStation. This is PlayStation 1 era. What we getting here? We getting 50s, 40s, 49s, right? Getting about an even play field of different prices, right? 49, 50 is the limit for the seems to be for PlayStation 1. Alright, what we got here? Saturn. Okay, Saturn. We got a good 40 to 50 bucks. Oh, wait a minute. We don't know what this game is, but it's at 68. Alright, come on. You complaining about pricing. Look at the prices from back in the days, bro. Mortal Kombat 4, 62 cash. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Earthworm Jim. Come on. Where we are? No, we never got 3. What they doing? That was 1 to 64. That wasn't on no PlayStation. That didn't never come out. But yeah. Come on, bro. Look at this. Where we at? Super Nintendo game still in the $50 mark. Super Mario, $59, bro. What are you talking about? If you know Nintendo, you know they prices, bro. You don't know Nintendo. You ain't a Nintendo. You not a real gamer. Donkey Kong Country 3, $64, bro. Nintendo's always been premium price for their games, bro. You bugging. All day. Genesis, there we are. 50s, 40s. So, but dog, you're not making no sense about pricing, buddy. I lived through this era. I know pricing. You ain't telling me about no pricing. N64, look at their games. Mortal Kombat Mythology, $80. What you talking about? Lost World, 76 bucks. Star Fox, $70. Mario 64, $66. Mario Kart, $59. Texture Sphere, $69. Bro, what you talking about? Nintendo's always been charging high, bro. What are you talking about? There you go. People need to see facts, man. You just talking. All y'all do is talk. Gotta stop this talking, man. Then you will have everybody all on your side. Oh, y'all bothering Dreamcast guy. Nah, ain't nobody bothering them, but you just gotta have better takes, man. I told you, y'all gotta be like my man Sega Lord X. That's a good guy. I mean, that's the man who I could respect, who respect gaming. You know, who was the other guy that I like to watch? My man from GameSack. And Dreamcast guy, I like to watch you too. But sometimes you be out of line. That's all I'm just telling you, man. Stop being out of line, Jack. You're a cool dude, but you can't be out of line. You know what I'm saying? I see why my man GameStop is always coming after you, man. Let me throw him up for GameStop, man, with another, as he always say, with another W. You know what I'm saying? GameStop be after you all the time, but he cool too. But you gotta stop this lame stuff you doing out here with this, bro. I don't see it. I mean, but let me see. I'll get back to it. Listen to the rest of what you gotta say, and that's it for my video, fellas. Just had to come talk about Dreamcast guy for the first time.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else,
remember, see, I don't disrespect. I give them his like, I mean, still it is what it is. We all on here on the same page.
Whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.
Enjoy. All right, catch y'all on the next one. Peace out.